So Abdul Gaddy,
What's up, bro?
what's up, man? So man, you're like a brother to me. We've known each other forever. Um, Great basketball player. In my mind, one of the top 5 high school athletes, not just basketball players, to ever come from Washington State.
hmm
Why'd you start playing basketball, and when did you start playing basketball?
well, I started playing basketball when I was like 1 year old. My grandmother put a ball in my hands, and I never put it down. Why I stuck with it and kept playing? I mean, kind of gradual within my life was like, when I was younger, I saw my dad play. My dad never played pro or anything. He played a little bit in high school, but really he played when he was in the Navy.
Yeah.
And they would have these little tournaments, and he just loved basketball. He just loved playing. It was just the fun of the game, not like, oh, he tried to play pro or anything like that. He just played for the fun of the game, and I just love watching my dad. My dad was, my role model growing up. You know what I mean? To my father. So that's what kind of pushed my love for it, really. You know what I mean? I just kept playing from then on, and opportunities kind of opened doors for me, and it's really been a blessing.
So you love basketball, right?
Yes, my passion.
When did you realize that you love basketball? And I mean, when did you realize that you want to dedicate your whole self, everything that you were created? Do you want it to dedicate everything that you were created to do to basketball? When did you realize that?
Man, that probably around middle school, because at first I just played all sports. You're just a inner city kid. My main thing was I just wanted to compete with my friends. I just wanted to be better than them in football, be better than them in baseball, soccer, basketball. I just happened to be the most skilled in basketball, and I love basketball the most. Watching Sonics games and just stuff like that, and I kind of got enticed with the game. And when I started investing my all into it, though, was when I actually started being better than my friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I started kind of feeling like, man, like I really am good. Like, I'm beating my friends in one-on-one. I'm beating them in shooting competitions. And that's all I really did was go outside and play basketball, play 3-on-3 or 2-on-2, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I just had a basketball in my hands. Or, I was watching it, studying Michael Jordan or watching LeBron or Kobe. And so just those little things. And then once I started to see, like, man, opportunities can come from this. And then when I was in 8th grade going into my freshman year,
Mm-hmm.
I played for Bellarmine. All I really wanted to do was just play varsity as a freshman. But I didn't know if I could. And then I took a trip, and I played varsity and played well. And I was like, man, I really can do these type of things. Like, I was kind of shaky, but I'm like, man, I really can. And that's when I was like, man, I got to keep working, because I really can be really, really good if I keep working on it. So I just kind of just took that and ran with it.
What was your goal at that time? And just to go back, you were 13 at the time, right?
Yeah.
Correct? 13 years old playing varsity basketball. I was a senior
Yeah.
on that team.
Yeah.
And so you should have been in 7th grade.
Yeah.
But you're playing with us. And
Right.
honestly, you were a lot better than most of us.
Man, looking back, man, I was just 13-year-old scrawny kid, 5'9", 5'10" at the time. Like, I was looking up to you guys. Like, man, I just want to play with you guys. You know what I mean? I don't know if I was big or strong enough. I knew I had the skills, but I was like, man, like, I got to get bigger, faster, stronger. But, you know what I mean? I just wanted to compete. I think more mentally, it was like, man, I'm competing and I know I'm good. I just got to, go out there and prove it. And so I think little by little playing Summer League. I played Summer League that summer with the JV team. And then we went to Gonzaga for a team summer camp, small thing. And I moved up and played with you guys and played well.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think you guys kind of gave me confidence, like, man, like, he's good, he can help us. And it kind of gradually went from there, because even throughout the year, I made varsity, so that was an accomplishment. And then I was like, man, I want to help the team, though. I want to help us, like, go to state and do all these things. So for us we made state that year.
Yep.
And, I was able to help you guys. I was like, man, like, doing this as a freshman, I got 3 more years. This is just more experience for me to continue to get better.
Yeah.
And then kind of went from there. Sophomore year, I grew.
Yep.
I grew more confident. You know what I mean? And then, sophomore year, and I'm playing with one of my best friends, Avery Bradley. And we both kind of the same thing. We got more confidence. We grew a little bit. We go from freshman year averaging like 8 points and helping you guys make state to now we're the top on the team.
Yep.
And And, you know what I mean? Like, now we're averaging 20 points a game. Now, we didn't make state our sophomore year, but it gave us more confidence. So that when we went to our junior year, junior year, I'm Gatorade State Player of the Year. Avery's averaging 30 points a game. And, you know, we finished third in state, highest Bellarmine ever finished. You know, and so it just kind of kept going from there. Then my senior year, I just grew more confident. I had, you know, more offers. I just started getting more accolades as far as, like, AAU basketball. But I just took it as, like, man, like, these are opportunities for me that I never imagined.
At that time, were you thinking NBA was an option for you? Because you said you were top on the team, but you weren't just top on the team. At that time, you were a top 10 player in the nation.
Right.
Number 2 point guard behind John Wall.
Right.
So were you thinking about the NBA at that time?
Yeah, I didn't start thinking about the NBA until I think going into my junior year. And I was like, and I think going into my junior year, that's when I played AAU and I played really well. And it came out in the rankings that I was, you know, number 14 or 15 in the country, and I was second point guard behind John Wall. And I was like, dang, like, I really been putting in work and it's starting to show.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, dang, I really can do this. Like, I legit can get to the NBA now. Like, I never really, as I was younger, middle school and my freshman year, you know, a little bit of my sophomore year, I didn't think it was a reality because nobody from Tacoma had ever done it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to compete with my friends and be one of the I wanted to get the most out of myself. Like, man, I love basketball. I just want to be the best. That was a competitor in me. And so once I saw that happening, I was like, nah, I legit can make it to the NBA.
Yep.
I have a chance. And so that's when I started pushing for that more. Like, you know, schools start looking at me more. I got offers from everybody. You know, I went from my first ever offer from Pepperdine University to all of a sudden now it's Gonzaga, Washington, Texas, North Carolina. Like, it just started to come, and I just kept getting better at it. And I was like, man, like, that's when I started to really have confidence in myself in the sense of, like, I could really do this at the highest level.
So the plan, go to college, because you were a young guy.
Yeah.
And so technically you couldn't be a one-and-done guy because you're 17 your freshman year.
Right.
But what was the plan? You talked to your family and you said, okay, I want to go to college for 2 years. And then you were projected as a top, 20 pick at that time?
Yeah. I had to do 2 years regardless. So the plan was I was going to go into my freshman year, get better, you know, be around guys who I knew, you know what I mean, and going into my sophomore year, just really be able to make my stride and be like, all right, I'm going into the NBA after that, you know what I mean. I still wanted to finish school. That was obviously one of my all-time goals, was to finish school, and I was going to come back for that. But, you know what I mean, as a little kid, the most enticing dream for me is being in the NBA, putting on that NBA jersey and being like, Mom, like, who would have thought? Like, I made it to the NBA.
Yeah.
This kid from Tacoma who, you know what I mean? Nobody thought this. So, like, that's what I was trying to do. I was like, man, I was trying to do it for my city, do it for my family, you know, do it for everything. Like, man, who would have thought? Like, this could happen to anybody, literally.
Yeah. And you were well on your way to the NBA. I mean, articles, I remember, because I was in college at the time, and I would read articles and just read up on you. But I want to talk a little bit about adversity.
Right.
Because a lot of times you get people in life, especially young athletes, they face some type of adversity and they quit and they give up. And so you were projected to go to the NBA, then you faced some adversity. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the story is that, so my sophomore year, I was projected to be first rounder going into my sophomore year. And I was playing pretty well. I was shooting the ball pretty well. Like, I didn't have a great freshman year, but that was okay for where I was because I was so young. I was 17-year-old freshman playing against literally 24, 25-year-old adults.
Yep.
So I kind of started to grow a little bit more. I became 18, but I was an older 18, and I had more experience. Mentally, I had already did a year. So sophomore year, I was a little bit more confident. Like, all right, I'm ready to go now.
Yeah.
And I played well in the Maui Invitational that year. We played Kentucky. They had Brandon Knight and Terrence Jones, and I played well against Michigan State. They had Draymond Green. And I actually had got a call from one of my AU coaches like, man, you continue to play out like this, I got calls from a couple teams today like you're gonna be good. You'll be gone first round for sure.
Wow.
And you know, I was super happy like,
Yep.
man, like I'm about to change my family's life.
Yeah.
And that next week we were gonna play Oregon. And literally the day before we played Oregon, we had practice. What happened? Last play of practice too. We got really sloppy at the end of practice, and coach was like, "Listen, I'm gonna put 5 minutes back up on the scoreboard. Finish up practice the right way." Literally second play, come down, try to do a Euro step, tore my ACL.
What went through your mind when you go back to that moment when you tore your ACL? That exact moment, like that adversity. As an athlete, you say you just heard about scouts looking at you. You played against Draymond Green. He didn't kick you.
Right.
And so go back to that moment. Like, what'd you feel, like that pain in that moment?
Well, when I first initially done it, I thought I just hyperextended my knee.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to look at it as like the most less thing possible. Hyperextending my knee would have been like, all right, I'm just out 2 or 3 weeks. I'll be back.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally got up. Now I knew something was wrong because my knee kept giving out. And I had Isaiah right there. I had CJ, and you know, guys like Matt and them guys helping me up. They were like, man, like, oh, he's gonna be good. I was walking. You know, I was walking to the training room. I didn't really feel all the effects mentally until the next morning. I woke up 6 in the morning. I had to go in there to check my MRI, and I tore my ACL. And the doc told me, and I kind of just couldn't believe it, bro. Like, literally, if you ask the doctor, I asked him when he said, so he pointed at the thing. He was like, so you tore your ACL, all this and that. And I was like, okay, so what's that mean? Like, so when I'm going to be back? Like, a month? 2 months? Because I couldn't believe it. So I was just like, well, so that means I'm just back in like 1 or 2 months, right? And I'm good. I had just got that news, so I'm like, man, ain't nothing stopping that.
Yep.
He said, nah, you out for the year. And I just started crying, bro. Coach Romar was with me. My trainer, Pat, was with me. And Romar knew, you know what I mean, because he knew that what I was working for, all this and that, and all he could do was just, you know, just hold me and just be like, man, it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was one of the toughest things I ever had to go through just mentally. I didn't want to I didn't really want to deal with basketball at the time. You know what I mean? Like, I know I had to get my knee right. And I just didn't want to think about basketball at that moment because it was like, man, like, that was over with. It was like, man, I'm not going in the draft next year.
Yeah. So
it was one of the toughest things I ever had to deal with.
Yeah, one thing I think a lot of people need to realize is that pain is a part of life.
Right.
It doesn't matter who you are. You could be the best athlete, the worst athlete. You could be in corporate America, you could be in school, but we're all going to experience some type of pain.
Right.
And if you quit, the pain, it will last forever.
Right.
But if you don't quit, that pain only makes you stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you went through some mental things. Probably mentally it was harder than it was physically.
Yeah.
But you're here right now. You're a professional basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't quit. So why did you not quit? Why didn't you give up?
Man, I mean, I think the main thing was faith and family, man. Like, really, when I had my surgery and I was going through the whole rehab process, I had both my parents with me. I had my brother and sister. Literally, like, I can name little things, like literally my dad was helping me walk, you know, keeping me off pain meds. Like, no, like, you got to walk without him. Like, he was pushing me even though I was pissed off, you know, about it. But he was pushing me like, man, like, we got to get you back. We got to get you back. You going to be back. You know, I had my dad doing that. I had my mom there. You know what I mean? Yeah, she wants to baby her son. But she's like, you know, I got to keep pushing him because he ain't worked this hard for nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My first son who go into college, you know what I mean? Nobody in our family that went to college, and he's here in his sophomore year. I got to keep him going somehow.
Yeah.
You know, and I got my sister and my brother who look up to me. And, you know, they can't believe it. There's been times where they were crying with me as well. Like, man, can't believe it. But they had to keep that same thing. Yeah. And then, you know, having them tell me, like, you know, God has a plan. Having my coach, Romar, tell me, like, God has a plan for you, man. You just got to stay at it and do this and that. And all me not thinking about basketball because I was mad and upset, all that did was it just made it it made it more like I'm just pouting.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to get over that.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really know, what was going to happen, but I knew that I just couldn't stay in that position mentally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I had to push through that. So I started, rehabbing really hard. And I had some mishaps where it was like, I didn't think it was going to happen, or I was like, man, I ain't going to be the same.
Yeah.
But I had those people that were in my corner. I had my parents, I had my trainer, my coaches, my teammates who were like, man, you're going to be back and you're going to be good. You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like, just keep believing in yourself. And I needed that support system at that time.
Yeah. That's significant because I knew you obviously before the injury and after the injury. And the whole point of this interview, you hit it right in the head. You said faith and family.
Yeah.
Because it's so obvious, even from spectators, they look at your life now, it's obvious that you play for your faith and for your family. You sacrifice so much for your faith and for your family. I think nowadays you have a lot of young athletes tweeting, I play for God or I play for my family. But then when it's time to grind or go to practice, it's not like they're working for God or working for their family, and they just want to do the Twitter thing, but they really don't understand how to put that work in for their faith and for their family.
Right.
So now today you're not where you want to be, but you're still pursuing it. So will we see you in the NBA?
Yes. I think that now it's more about, I've gotten older. Obviously, I'm 25 now. So, and I've tasted it. I've been with Charlotte in training camp. I've been with Charlotte in summer league. I've been with the Pelicans in summer league. I've been in preseason with Charlotte and stuff like that. So like I've tasted it, and I know that I can be there. I know I can play at the highest level, and I honestly just believe like, man, this is just part of the story. It's part of the story for me in the sense of like, man, like I had to go through these things. I had to have an injury to really, really realize like, one, life is bigger than basketball. Basketball can be taken from you like that.
Yep.
That fast. Literally, like I just told you, the week ago I was like, hey, I'm about to be drafted first round to one quick move, and a move that I do every day. Yeah. Still to this day when I work out, I do the move every day. And all of a sudden that one time it went and it was torn. You know what I mean? Like it can happen like that. And I think, you have to realize like it can be taken from you. So you have to take advantage of every opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And me playing over in Europe, being able to play in Italy, being able to play in Russia, being able to play in Germany. These are just steps so that when I do get to NBA, I'll be like, man, like I had to take this route.
Yeah.
I had to go from, I went from top 10 player in the country to, playing in Europe to now I'm back in the NBA. And it was like, man, maybe I wasn't ready. Maybe I was just, like God wanted me to be more seasoned.
Yeah.
So that when I did get there, he was like, you ready to go?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is what I want you to show. Like, the path isn't always you get drafted. There's only 60 picks.
Yep.
But there's a million other guys who got in there a different way.
Exactly.
And I had to show you that. I had to show you it by putting you through it. I couldn't just tell you. So I had to show you. And, I always keep faith in God because he always, he's directed my life. He's given me so many blessings. I would not imagine being where I am at today. Seriously.
Yeah.
I would not from where I came from my mom working 3 jobs and my dad being in the Navy and had my grandmother take care of me most of my time. My grandmother was on drugs. All these things, all those things happening to now, I'm this young man who gets to provide for his family like I never would have imagined.
So you still believe, and you obviously have a why. They say the 2 most important days is when a person's born and when they figure out their why. And you figured out your why. It's more than basketball.
It's more than basketball.
You're really living a life to dedicate to your family and to God and to your faith. And so in closing, bro, there's a lot of people that will watch this interview, a lot of people that feel like giving up, a lot of people that don't believe in themselves, a lot of people that faced adversity, and they want to sacrifice for their family and for their faith, but they really don't know how. And I think you've done such an incredible job at living a life that sacrificed to God for your faith and to your family. So can you just, in closing, encourage the viewers. Encourage them with a couple sentences and on how you keep going and why you keep pushing.
Main thing, I mean, I can't give you everything, obviously, in this is just one interview,
Yep.
but I think the main thing is you have to believe in yourself. And I think that, you have to believe in the fact that you have your family who supports you.
Yeah.
You have you have a God who wants you to get the best out of yourself. You know what I mean? He places you in positions, he places opportunities in front of you. And he wants you to prepare yourself.
Yeah.
God does his part, we have to do our part. You know what I mean? You have to put that work in. You know what I mean? You have to, there's going to be those days where you go to the weight room and you got to lift and you don't want to. You don't have to always post it on Twitter or Instagram, but you're doing it.
Yep.
You go to the gym by yourself, you're getting 500 shots up. You don't have to always post it, but you're doing it.
Yep.
And eventually that work shows. And so I think you have to continue to push and grind and be ready for when your opportunity comes.
Yeah.
Because you never know when it's going to come. But when it comes, you have to be prepared for it. And that's literally what I'm doing right now. Like, the NBA, I believe it will come. But it's not going to come on my timing. It's going to come on God's timing. So therefore, I just got to be prepared. I just got to every day just be like, all right, listen, I'm in the weight room. I'm getting shots up. I'm playing every day. I'm working on my skills so that when that door opens, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm ready to be like, oh, yeah, okay, here we go. And take full advantage of it because, windows are short.
Yep.
But I want to be able to take advantage of it and then move past it and what's the next thing? How do I continue to get better? How I continue to make the NBA? All right, made it. Now how I become a starting point guard. Now how I become one of the best point guard. Now how I become the best point guard.
Yeah.
And, Like, I want to be ready for all those things. So I'm just going to keep working till those things happen. And I think that's what God, is showing me and telling me, like, you have to be prepared for those things. And I just want to tell the other viewers, you got to be prepared and do those same things. Prepare yourself now so that when your opportunity comes, you're fully ready to go.
That's good, bro. So what I heard, believe, prepare. Faith and family, man. Thank you so much, bro, for sharing, bro. You just inspired a ton of people, so keep going, bro. I believe in you, and you'll get to the NBA. I'm excited to get those 4 seats
I
one day.
appreciate you.
Yep.